everyone, welcome back to Let's Play Megaman Battle Network 5. In the last part, we found out Protoman's our next enemy, and now we're going to continue on with some new enemies. Katak EXs. Honestly, past the HP and strength increase, there's no difference. I could have sworn there were more than just the Guardian 2s. Huh, weird. Anyway, throughout this entire Liberation mission, you're going to be encountering a lot of hard battles. In fact, this is the hardest Liberation mission in the main storyline. Because if it's not dragons, it's the next new enemy we're going to be meeting. Ugh. Anyway, time for Mitty to show her stuff. In battle, her abilities are something I'll get to in a moment, but outside of battle, her ability is Twin Liberate and the save option for some reason. Which the panel that you use it on is obviously liberated. But then at the end of that row, a panel will start glowing the same color that it was just glowing there. And if Navi liberates that, the entire row will be liberated. You'll see what I mean in a moment. Anyway, new enemy, Dominards. These guys have a strong body ability, so they'll only take 1 damage from any attack you do to them. Normally. When they attack, that's when they're vulnerable to actual hits. However, things like Gundel Soul and Django are very effective against them. This is what I mean. That panel's not glowing green when Gyroman goes to liberate it right now. And upon beating it, that entire row in between the two will be liberated, which is really good. And as for her counter in Battle Network 5 Teen Colonel, Jasmine is replaced by Rabita. You know that reporter from Battle Networks 1 through 3. And her Navi is Toadman. As for Toadman's abilities, outside of battle, he has a singing ability, which when he sings to a Navi, will make that Navi able to liberate 5 panels in a straight line. By the way, new enemy, Bladia 3, just stronger Bladia 2s. And in battle, Toadman, his charge shot allows him to dive into the water, and into the ground, rather, and attack the nearest enemy, and his special chip is his homing gnome attack that he used back in his battles. Which, if you don't recall what it does, it just sends an electric-type note towards his enemies. And if I haven't mentioned it yet, within Team Colonel and Protoman, there are a total of 9 liberation missions, 3 of which are post-game. That leaves 6 for the main game. Now let's count the ones we've seen so far. We had the original one against Blizzard Man. We had the Shade Man one when Magnet Man joined us. We had the Cloud Man one when Gyro Man joined us. We had the Dark Omega one. We had the Cosmo Man one and this one. That makes 6. So this is actually the last liberation mission in the main story. And once you know it, they really put on all the stops for it because I hate all the battles in this one. Or most of the battles. Whenever there's a dragon or a Dominator involved and I don't get Django, ugh. This is the entire... well, first off, bring it on. You'll be another nick in my sword. This liberation battle is the only reason I got Django as early as I did, so you guys can get used to me using it for this place. There's that, and that chip is just so obscene and I love it. I'm not a guy that would ban using an ability just because it's broken, hence why whenever I get to doing Final Fantasy IX, auto-regen all the time, baby. Oh boy. And here we are actually using Bomb Liberation for the first time in a while, but then again, we didn't have Gyro Man for the previous mission. He was on guard duty. You know, I don't like how they make certain characters unavailable for certain Liberation missions, but at the same time they kind of structured around it so you don't need them. And order points. I'm gonna say right now, there's a certain point later on in the video when my order points jump from like 3 to 5. It's because of that item panel that's actually on the top of the screen. As for why that happens and why the HP of all my characters will jump up at that same time, is because past a certain point in this recording, my recorder crashed. And I was able to recover a certain amount of data, which is up to a certain point. And beyond that was unrecoverable. So I actually had to re-record a good half of this mission. And because of that, I actually did a lot better than the second run. And I got a lot more one-turn liberations and such. And because of such, there's a lot more done and my characters have much more HP. So that's a thing. So here's a couple things I don't think I mentioned at this point, actually. First off, obviously Regal's the villain again. And he survived jumping off like 9 stories. They don't explain that at all. However, one thing I don't think they ever really hint on aside from the instruction manual is that this game takes place a month after 4, so that's why things don't seem to have changed that much and why Nebula still seems to be such a major threat. And why not many people are surprised that they came back, if you think about it. And next up, Dark Proto-Man here was actually his own character, essentially, in the anime. He didn't appear at all in the manga, but in the anime, essentially, during the Access arcs, to save land, or to save land and Megaman from, I think, Spike Man, Chad used a dark chip. They defeated that Navi and all, but afterwards, Proto-Man kind of went corrupt and became one of Regal's best agents. Or actually, no, not Regal. I think Shademan was at the lead at that time. Well, Regal was the boss overall, but we didn't know that until much later in the season. I should watch through the anime again. It's cheesy, yes, but it's an enjoyable cheesy. Still wish we got more than just the original and Access dubbed, though. Mind you, of how violent Stream gets. Ugh. Yeah, really, I'm running out of things to talk about because we've had 6 of these Liberation missions so far, and not many new enemies are in this one. Although, yeah, I can talk about that. The thing is with the post-game in this one, there are 3 Liberation missions, as I mentioned before. However, they're really hard. Like, I think one of them has a clear phase of, like, 3. I think. It's been a while since I did one of them, so I don't quite recall. And because of that, and the fact that I honestly just don't think the post-game of this game is that worth it, other than maybe the base fight, I'm yet again not going to be doing it. And even then, I'm still kind of thinking about not doing 6's post-game. So if you were looking forward to the post-game of this one, sorry, that's just not a thing I like doing post-game in general, really. The only reason I did it in the Oracle games is because it kind of enhances my experience in one if I do it in the other. My entire policy on post-game in general is really just experience it for yourself, because that's kind of something you should do on your own. It's a really game-for-game basis, really. Like, if I were ever to do Mega Man Powered Up, which I do want to do at some point, if I can ever record my PSP, I will not only do a Mega Man playthrough, I'll do a playthrough showing off all the Robot Master and other characters. Also, one thing I should mention, by the way, you might notice that my regular chip doesn't exist anymore. I actually, off-screen, went out of the battle and unregulared that air shot. And as for why I did that, well, I kind of forgot that you couldn't use regular chips as double soul sacrifices. So I kind of had to axe that so I could have more room for other stuff. Also, interesting little fact about Django SP that really hasn't happened much at this point is that there is actually a very small chance it'll do more than its normal damage, but I'm not sure what that chance is. Because I've seen it do over 200 before. I know for a fact I have, and that's not Django Double Dark Soul either. Oh yeah, that's another thing. All the Navi chips in this game have a Dark Soul phase, which is really hard to get. In fact, I don't recall how to get it. I think it's post-game exclusive stuff. But it's a thing, that's for sure. And this is actually, as if you haven't figured it out by this point, by the jumped HP, this is post-recorder crash, so now this is the second take at this place where enemies, where my characters have a lot more HP and a lot more order points. And that's where the barrier key 1 is, so you're going to need that to progress onwards. And if you're thinking about finding that Tin Hawk 3, go right ahead. You're not going to see it anytime soon. If you're wondering how different it is from the original, or Tin Hawk 2 in that case, there's no real difference at all, really, aside from HP and strength. Mind you, that's the main difference with RPGs in general, is that if there's a recolor of an enemy, there's usually not really any difference, or any real difference aside from HP, stats, and maybe weaknesses. Ooh, more order points, sweet. So here's a funny thing, actually. I have recently figured out how to emulate the Sega Saturn. Not perfectly, mind you. Sonic 3D Blast has a lot of problems, and Sonic Jam's 3D overworld thing doesn't work properly. But overall, it's working pretty well. I might actually be able to record stuff like Panzer Dragoon in the future. Or, oh, I should totally, you'll probably have seen it if I did this, but I should totally record the Saturn exclusive parts of Mega Man 8. Anyway, the last 2 dark holes in the main game are my 2 least favorite in the game, as far as I can recall. Why? Because this one, well, first up, this one's just troublesome because my folder never likes to cooperate during it. But the next one, ugh. The new Scully EX does not help. In case you couldn't tell what I did there, I hit the Dominard with a fire fist, then turned around and hit the big brute with one, so it would kill it. There are some times when it's hard to tell what's going on in net battles, and the Star Force series does not fix that because, my god, Star Force 1 and 3 go so fast. Star Force 2... not a fan of Star Force 2. And Napalm Man is now free of the paralysis that I forgot to mention he had been suffering from. Anyway, gotta want a long sword right here because the next barrier key is in these panels. And obviously we want the barrier key because we want to progress and get the best reward we can. So, how's life? I'm still in the middle of my midterms. I only have actually, wait, no. Yesterday I just had my math and ceramics final, or midterm. Only the ceramics was a final. And I just realized I don't have to take my astronomy final because I had a 95. Huh, so yeah, I'm done with midterms. Oh, God, senior year's halfway over. No, I don't want to leave. I'm excited for it to college, don't get me wrong. In fact, I should mention, if I haven't mentioned at this point, I got accepted to college about a month ago. Video game design and art stuff over at the Becker College nearby. That'll give you a good semblance as to where I live, but oh well. Looking forward to it, but at the same time, I don't want to leave all my sophomore friends behind because I'm like one of the only seniors in my club. Oh dear. No, it's kind of weird to think about. We started this channel early on in freshman year, and here we are almost 3-4 years later. That's kind of strange to think about. Anyway, Final Dark Hole for the main game is also my least favorite because there's so much stuff going on. You have to avoid the Met Fire, the Big Brute, and keep yourself alive from the freaking Dominator at the same time. This is a pain in the ass. I don't know why I did this with Gyro Man because it just made it all the worse. Barely survived that. I would have had 10 HP left. And with that, the only thing standing between us and Proto Man is 2 squares. Actually, I feasibly could have saved Megaman for this and used Medi and Searchman to get that key. By the way, when you're getting the barrier key, don't get a one-turn liberation, because then you'll be trapped. But with that and Searchman clearing off this last box, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 27, we'll see what we can do about Proto Man here, because we're not in the best situation, all things considered. See you guys then.